Hi everyone. This Illuminate session is going to introduce the scientific inquiry work sample and provide you with some instructions and walk through the whole form so that you'll know what to do to turn in the science inquiry work sample. Let's see, just a couple notes is that the sample is for students in 3rd through 8th grade. It's due March 10th at the Orva office. You're going to be able to choose any of the topics from the table, which does come from the curriculum. And you could, but the lesson, although it does come from the curriculum, you do need to modify it somewhat in order to meet the state requirements. So the state requires us not to be able to use specific lessons from the curriculum, but they need to be able to modify it, so change some of the variables and so forth. The investigation must be filled out on the form given, so we've provided a form that has all the steps, so they need to fill it out on the form. And also each section of the form has a rubric, and the rubric will tell you what's acceptable, what's exceeding, and what's not acceptable. All right, on the form you will see a table, and this table lists out which science curriculum you're taking. So for example, if you are enrolled in Science 4, no matter what grade you are, so we have some students who are in 5th grade but they're taking Science 4, or 3rd grade and they're taking Science 4, so you take whatever science you're taking, that's the ones that you're going to do. So we've provided a couple units that will work for this work sample, and again, even if you do one of these lessons, you do need to modify it so that it does meet the requirements. Alternatively, you can choose your own topic, so you don't have to choose these 2 topics. You can choose any of your own, but if you do choose any of these topics, then you can go into the online school afterwards and mark these lessons as complete so that you get credit for them in the online school and for the work sample. A couple differences. 3rd grade, the requirements are a little bit different. Parents can be a lot more involved. Parents and learning coaches can help their students suggest a question or a hypothesis. So you can help your students come up with a topic, but then when they do the work, the students do need to be doing the work on their own. Parents can also help the student with the data collection table. So you can show them, you can put the form down, you can make a table, and then they can fill in the data. So those are some areas that you can support your students. In grades 4 through 8, students really need to do this investigation independently. Parents can guide what you can do. You can be involved to make sure the investigation is safe, ethical, and practical. So make sure that what they're choosing to do and the variables and everything are going to be safe. All right, so here's the form that you're going to be given. Your teachers will be providing this for you. The first page of the form is some instructions. It explains a lot of the details, so make sure you do read it carefully. What you can do is it also gives you the address to send it to as well. Words of caution, yeah, make sure that you do look at the rubric as well, and it also gives you some directions for choosing a topic. On the second page is where it starts. We have, make sure you do put the student's name, grade level, and the date. And it also gives you an explanation of the scoring rubric. So the people that score it, this is how they're going to score. They're going to score in the 4 different sections, and it's on a scale of 1 to 6. All right, so the first part of the investigation is the forming a question or a hypothesis. And this part here is basically where you give your background information. So the students, explain what they already know about their topic, why they chose it, information, it could be information they learned in class, from a textbook that sparked their interest. And then, it's really a good idea to use some science vocabulary words that relate to this experiment. Next part is where you have your question and hypothesis. So first part is the question. What are you trying to find out in this experiment? And make sure you write this as a question. Hypothesis is where you give a possible answer to your question. So you put, I think, and write what your hypothesis is. Number 2 is designing an investigation. And this is where you design what you're going to be doing for your investigation. So you're going to list out what materials you're going to need. You're going to list out what variables. So what are you going to be changing on purpose? And then also what you're going to keep the same. And then the next part is the procedure. So this is the step-by-step procedure where you're going to number each step. Say, first I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. So you're numbering and you're being specific. You're saying how much, how long, etc. Next part is collecting and presenting the data. This is where you could make a table. You could have a place where you record your observations and your measurements. You can include the units. And again, if you're a third grader, the parents can really help with this part. You can give them the table, you can write it out, and then they can fill in the information. 4th through 8th grade, it does need to be done by the students. The next part is data transformation. So the first part is when you present the data, and that doesn't really need to be very organized, but what you need to do is find a way to transform the data to make it easier to understand. So you can make a graph, you can label the axis and include the units of the measurement. And you can use additional paper, graph paper if you'd like, or you can just do it right here on the paper. All right, next part is the analyzing and interpreting the results. This is where you go through and you restate. You basically say what the results are from your experiment. So in paragraph 1, you restate your hypothesis. So you say what you thought your hypothesis was, whether or not it was correct or not. Number 2 is where you notice any patterns in your data. So you say, what the results were, and also why you think you got the results that you did. And paragraph 3 is where you talk about how your experiment can be improved. Identify all the errors and limitations. So you can say, possible error to my experiment was, or limitation in my experiment was. So that's basically the form, and I know that it's pretty easy to follow, so as long as you follow it step by step, it should be pretty self-explanatory. Teachers will be providing families with a sample investigation. So we'll give you what a sample one looks like so you can have a look and see all the different parts, what a sample idea or topic would be. Make sure that whatever the sample topic is, that that you don't use the same topic. And if you do have any questions, please contact your teacher, and I hope this was helpful. Please let us know if you need any more guidance. Thanks.